back to my channel. That's right, I'm doing another live. This one's going to be a Q&A, so feel free to ask any questions and I'll respond in real time like this video. So, anyway, today's live video actually is just a little update on some things. So, see, when I was about 12 years old or so, I lived in this mobile home trailer at the time that was a rental. Yeah, it was an old mobile home trailer, a rental at the time. I was about 12 years old, and the day started off normal, like any other day. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I remember everything just being like a regular day. Later that night, all of a sudden, I noticed this blue light in the sky that was staying perfectly still, like just like this. It never moved. And then later that night, I had a very creepy experience. I actually ended up, I don't know what that's in there, but whatever. So I literally ended up just having a very creepy experience to where I was actually abducted by aliens. Yeah, I know, that's hard to believe. I know. But I had lived in that mobile home trailer after that, probably for about 2 years or so, until I moved up out of there. So it was this same shade of blue, as you see right here. But anyway, so after that, like I said, I did move out of there eventually and moved quite far away, that I may add. And so after moving really far away, actually worked out a lot better. But now, this old mobile home trailer rental at the time that I had lived in, as far as I could tell you, that mobile home trailer ain't there anymore. I mean, it had sat there probably for about another 20 years or so after I had moved out of it. So that's not all that was creepy about that place. That land and that property, I swear, had something very dark and evil on it. So, and at the time when I had first moved in there, I always had this very strange feeling that something was not right with that old property. And needless to say, I was actually right. And welcome to my channel if you just joined. I hope you like the video so far. So what ended up happening at the time was, while I was living in that old mobile home trailer, it was a rental at the time. When I had first moved in there, I had this very strange feeling that something that was there was more dark, more evil. And I said to myself, okay, I'll live here. And I mind you, the day I moved in there, years ago, it seemed very dark there. And I could not figure out why. Like, even during the day, it seemed really dark at that old mobile home trailer. It was a rental at the time. And I was just like, oh, okay, that's weird. It seems dark there even during the day. So I didn't think nothing of it at the time. And I had lived there for several years. And then one day when I did finally move out of there, other people ended up moving there. And I don't know how long they lived there slightly after that. But at one point when I was there, I remember this to this day. I always had this feeling that somebody was watching me or behind me. Like, I'd be on the computer sometimes and it felt like somebody was standing behind me. I'd look behind me, nobody was there. And I said, that's strange. I said, the funny thing is, ever since I moved into that mobile home trailer at the time, that happened all the time there, constantly. Then sometimes at night, where my bedroom was and where the door was, where the hallway was, it always sounded like somebody was running back and forth down the hallway sometimes at night. So that I got used to after a while. And then sometimes you'd be walking down the hallway to like head towards the bathroom area, and just before you got about a foot from where the bathroom door was, while you were in the process of walking down the hallway, it actually felt like somebody was sitting there watching you. That was another creepy thing that would often happen at that old mobile home trailer. Now, that's not all. There was one other thing that would often happen there too. Sometimes the lights sometimes would just suddenly flicker off by themselves. They would start flickering on and off. Majority of the time they would just go off by themselves. Although one particular time, I actually shut the lights off, getting ready to go to bed one night, and all of a sudden, a few minutes later, that light was back on. And I said, that's strange, but okay, whatever. So like I said, I did move out of there, thank God. But now, while I was also living there, around the time I was getting ready to move out of there, every night around the same time, the electric in that place was quite strange too. Every night around the same time, the electric in that place would just shut off, only in the bedroom that I had at the time while living there. Every night, I'd hear that breaker box just go. Completely dead silence like this. I said to myself, oh, you've got to be kidding me. And I mind you, at the time, that breaker box was brand new, that was just installed at the time because it was updated from the old electrical panel box that used to be there with a brand new one. And it had all brand new updated breakers. And it was even checked over by the electrician. He checked it, looked at everything, and said it was fine. And that had nothing wrong with it. Okay. So we called him again a couple times after that. And we're like, hey, it's still doing this. Can you come back out and have a look at it? He looks at it, he checks it. It still kept checking out fine. We could not figure out why it just kept shutting off every night around the same time. So finally, the last night that it finally happened, all I knew the next morning, I could not wait to be out of there that next morning, out of that old mobile home trailer. Thank God I had moved out of there after all that. But yeah, there were some strange things that would often happen there. Like all the time. But yet, the funny thing is, after I moved out of there and moved far away, nothing else ever had happened. Which I was like, oh, okay. That's interesting that nothing else has happened since I moved out of there. But then, one night, while I had moved, and I had moved several times after that, and then, all of a sudden, so moving a few times here and there slightly after that, I ended up moving really far away, like I had said, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, one night, I had this dream that I was over at that place, at that property one day, just driving by randomly. And in this dream, I remember the ground there suddenly starting to break. And all of a sudden, that's when I seen it all break. Really, really very creepy. And then something creepy came up out of the ground from that place. And it was just very, very scary, whatever it was, actually. And then, whatever it was, ended up finding me, took one look at me, and then just disappeared because I had woke up. But now, when I was living in that old rental mobile home trailer at the time, like I said, there were all types of strange things that would happen there. But I remember that yard, for some reason, and that property, this land in the dirt there had this really weird looking shape. Like, it looked like it was a cemetery at one time or something, like a really old one. Which sometimes I often wonder, because whatever was there was very dark and very evil. But I mind you now, nowadays, that mobile home trailer ain't even there anymore. It's gone. It's just a very old, overgrown property as of today, the present current date. But if anyone has any questions about that, please feel free to ask, and I will answer them the best way possible. Feel free to ask any questions if need be. Huh, that's weird. Looks like it dropped a little. Okay, whatever, it's fine. Won't be the first time. Also, be sure to check my other videos live from last night. And also be sure to check my channel and all my other content and videos, which is also being, those were all recorded in real time, like everything else on my channel is all real time. Anyway, so, like I said, that was the whole story with that old property. And another thing I want to mention also on this channel, that a few months ago, a while back, a lot of you may not know this, but I was actually also scammed by a third-party seller on Walmart's platform marketplace, I mind you. So, a funny story with that. So, like I said, I got scammed. This third-party seller on marketplace on Walmart's platform lied to Walmart, lied to FedEx, and lied to me. So, yeah. So I called Walmart, and I actually had to call them a couple times to be persistent to get my refund, which made me more and more angry. So I did get my refund, needless to say, and FedEx would not speak to me when I had called them, because if they had delivered the package that I had ordered at the time, I would have seen the truck pull in, I would have heard the truck pull in, I also would have seen it on my doorbell camera. So there's all proof right there. Walmart was trying to deny the proof at first, saying, oh, well, they delivered the package. I said, oh, no, they did not. I know the difference if a package is delivered or not. I ain't stupid. So anyway, FedEx would not speak to me because to them I was not a paying customer. Because apparently these third-party sellers are paying customers to FedEx. So that was another thing that really made me more angry. But whatever, no one really seems to care about that, but that's besides the point. So, lesson learned, next time if you're going to order something off Walmart's platform, make sure that it says sold and shipped by Walmart. Needless to say. Hard lesson learned on that. So, therefore, ever since then, I can actually spot a scam from about a mile away. Yeah, there's all kinds of scams out there. And yes, I know it also happens with Amazon, Walmart, eBay, to name a few specifics, for example. But anyway, yeah, I know it happens, but just a very hard lesson learned after the whole ordeal with everything. But you know what? Whatever. It's one of those things, to be honest with you. So, oh, there's something else too that I was going to talk about. And I'm just going to put this out there again. There's all kinds of scams out there. There's these scammers who will try to call you claiming that they're the IRS, which are actually fake. They're the fake IRS. Yeah, they will try to call you and convince you that they're actually the IRS, which they're actually full of shit because they're not. So just don't fall for that scam. I didn't fall for that scam, thank God. But I just hope that I could help others with all this. And Also, don't fall for those Nigerian scams over in Nigeria, to where they try to convince people in the US that they're supposedly this big famous person that they're actually not, who they claim to be, which is another scam, and that's a whole nother issue. But yeah, nothing's clearly nothing is being done about that, which I also think is a lot of bullshit. How nothing's being done about that shit. Something actually needs to be fucking done about that shit, if you ask me. So, I just don't understand why nothing is getting done about that. But whatever. Oh, but apparently it's okay for these people in Nigeria to scam people in the US? Really? No, that's not okay. But if they think it's okay, wow, whatever. It just goes to show you how certain things that are supposed to protect people technically really don't in the broken ass system, which is also a bunch of bullshit, if you ask me. But whatever. It's just that's the problem, and it's like nobody really sees a problem with it when I do. Yes, I can point out what's broken within that system. A lot of things are actually broken within that system. But yeah, no one ever seems to think about any of that. That's another thing. So, you know what? Maybe it's time that people literally started looking into all that. Yeah, that's another thing. And also, this video is actually being done in real time too. I'm just going to throw that out there again. So, and I also have every right to throw that out there because that's actually true. So now, there may be another live at some point, maybe next week or something. Just depends on what happens with this one. So, that's so weird. I can't believe it just dropped to 0. And before it had like a lot of people. That is so weird. But whatever. Anyway, that's just all I wanted to go on about with this. Now, if anyone has any questions, this is also a Q&A. If you have any questions about anything that I was just talking about, please feel free to ask and I will reply with an answer for you. Go ahead, feel free, ask. Ask anything. Does not matter. But I do know how to spot a scam from a mile away. That's actually really 100% true. All right, I think we're just gonna actually end this live now for lots of reasons. I will see you all in the next video. Bye. Live's over. Man. I'm sure you want to stop streaming.